kits and pattern books. I am here in my workroom to share with you my love for pattern burlesque. This old art form is at present enjoying a revival, and I'm working hard to bring to you beautiful designs that you can make to wear on garments as well as for the home decor. Pattern burlesque has also been known in other countries with other names as well. Point lace, Brussels lace, and Renaissance lace is just an easy tape lace technique, whereas the ready-made manufactured tapes are shaped over a pattern and then are filled with easy filling stitches with a needle and thread. I want to show you some old pieces of my collection that have inspired me to create more and more designs for the needlewoman. I have tried these designs with my beginners in my classes, and they have successfully been able to accomplish them. I have also designs for the experienced needlewoman and for those who already have discovered pattern burlesque and want to do more and more of it. These are two authentic pieces from my collection. This is a Victorian jacket work in the tape lace technique. At that time they used a lot of black, and here is a hat done more to the turn of the century. These one-of-a-kind pieces have inspired me to recreate, adapt, and simplify their designs so we can work them today. I have included them in two of my pattern books, Victorian pattern burlesque designs and Victorian pattern burlesque accessories. But now, let me show you how I do pattern burlesque by hand and then on the sewing machine.
For Unisane's easy technique by hand, you'll need the following list of materials. Pattern C1 with the instructions. 6 yards of lace tapes. A piece of vinyl adhesive or piece of muslin and hardware plastic, 3.5 or 4 mils. A fabric or plastic marker pen. Embroidery or crewel needle, size 7. Regular sewing thread or preferably fine machine embroidery thread. Tapestry needle, size 26 blunted. And pearl cotton, size 12 or other suitable embroidery thread. We're going to use design pattern C1, Battenberg Peter Pan, collar and cuffs by Unisane. If you'd like to save your pattern, you'll need to trace your design on the lightweight muslin with a Wonder Marker pen. Then you'll need to pin your piece of hardware or Ziploc bag plastic over your muslin and then baste it all around the perimeter of the pattern. You can also apply a piece of clear vinyl adhesive paper over your pattern and work over it. This alternative will save you the tracing. Both methods will give you a good foundation over which you can work, shaping your tapes, basting, and executing the embroidery stitches. We're using a red piece of fabric with the trace pattern so that it will show better on the screen. The next step is to attach the lace tape to the pattern. You can use your fingernails to expose the cord on the edge of the tape. Then pull several inches of gathers. If the lace tape is distorted, as this one is, you know you're pulling the wrong thread, and that piece must be discarded. When you pull the right thread, it coils flat, as in this one. Turn 1/4 of an inch hem over at the starting points, and pick your starting point where the tape overlaps so it can be hidden with an overlapping tape or another end turn under. You'll be working the wrong side, but still you want both sides as neat as possible. Move the gathers along the gathering cord in order to lay the tape flat and smooth, following the parallel lines of your design pattern, and pin as you go. If you need to fold to change directions, you may do 2 things. First, fold a small dart. It'll still keep the curve on the same side. Second, if you need the curve to swap directions, Then you'll have to fold the tape over itself. You will need to pull gathers as you go when shaping the inside motifs. This is necessary when you need to shape the curve in inverted curves, such as the inside motif. This is also useful when you have to pull more gathers and you're working with a long strip and you want to cut your lace tapes the least amount possible. You'll find the cord with a pin and then pull enough gathers and work them down the lace tape. Pick a place in an intersection, if possible, so you can hide the knot afterwards. Do not cut the tails of the pull thread unless they're long enough to be knotted together. If not, you'll need to whip them later as you tack with your needle and fine thread. Now you're ready to baste the lace tapes to your foundation pattern, and this will be done through the center of the tapes with small stitches and regular or fine sewing thread. It needs to be the same color as your tape. Using the same color will make the cleanup much easier later on. Now, do not use knots. You can take 1 or 2 close buttonhole stitches in place, or 1 or 2 back stitches to secure or to anchor your thread. After all the tapes are basted, you need to tack them with fine thread everywhere the tape overlaps or intersects, taking little whipping stitches to secure those places. Machine embroidery thread size 50 will work just fine. To move from one place to another, you can whip along the edge of the tape or between overlapping tapes while you tack with your fine thread. At this moment, we're ready to execute the filling stitches. Thread your tapestry needle with 1 strand of embroidery thread. In your instruction sheet, you'll find many different stitches you can practice and choose from when doing any Battenberg lace pattern. Our selection of stitches for each design is illustrated in place in the pattern. You can be creative and select from the ones illustrated in your instruction sheet. Now we'll show you how to make the most basic and traditional stitches and the most widespread used in our design pattern. Now, do not use knots. You can take 1 or 2 close buttonhole stitches in place, or 1 or 2 back stitches to secure or to anchor your thread. First, we'll demonstrate the plain Russian stitch. Now, this stitch has many variations. The basic one is done by passing the needle up under the selvage edge of the tape and then down under the opposite selvage. The thread always in front of the needle. You'll be making a single twist on top and at the bottom. If you do not get the single twist, you can always go back behind your thread and fix it. To move from one space to another, you do not have to cut your thread. You just need to whip alongside the edge of the tape or weave your thread diagonally through the tape. The second stitch we're going to demonstrate is the plain overcast bar. In this stitch, the thread is laid and secured across the empty space from one selvage to the other and overcast back to the starting point, going under and over the thread to give it a twisted cord look. Then you'll need to whip along the edge of the tape up to the next place where you're going to lay out your bar and then repeat. You can do a complete collar using only 1 stitch and it can still be beautiful. The purpose of the embroidery stitches is mainly to join and keep the tape together. demonstrate the spider web. The spider web is used to accent areas as well as for traditional backgrounds together with plain bars. You'll lay a bar across the open space and then overcast back. Whip along the edge of the tape 2 stitches and then lay another bar perpendicular to the first one. Then you'll need to overcast up to the center, and there you'll weave over and under all the bars. After knotting the bars in place, you'll come out under the center and overcasting the last bar. Now we'll demonstrate the open buttonhole, tulle, or net stitch. This stitch has been traditionally used for big backgrounds, as in this pattern, as well as for odd-shaped spaces. It can be worked in different directions. In our demonstration, we'll work the stitch diagonally instead of the way illustrated in your pattern, so you may be able to visualize the stitch buildup. It may be worked either way with equally beautiful results. It's done first by laying a loose, loopy bar and then whipping down the edge of the tape 2 stitches. Let the thread float down and insert the needle inside the loop you just made. Whip down the tape and let your thread float down again. Insert your needle from inside the loop and work back and forth, making more loops and increasing the number of loops every time you go. If you need to decrease because of the shape of the space, skip a loop at the edge of the tape at either side, but never